So welcome to the next vlog. It's Saturday again today, so I'm just building an engine at the moment for the Triumph, and I've got Sam Graves and Carl over at the other unit starting to put the walls up. But first of all, I'm gonna film some of this TR6 engine going together. I've torqued the mains up and it turns absolutely beautifully, so I'm going to spin the block over now and check the piston ring gaps and adjust them. So I'll stick it on time lapse and continue filming and building. So I've set the piston ring gap on one piston so far. In fact, I say I've set it, I've not needed to touch it because the gap was absolutely spot on anyway. So I've put the rings on the pistons. I'm going to do each piston cylinder by cylinder, and then get this built. When you buy rings, it's really important to take notice of the packaging, because normally on the packaging it will show you what ring goes into what piston. Experienced engine builders probably can tell by looking at the piston or the piston ring which groove it goes into. But if it's the first time having a go at building an engine, then just make sure you pay attention to the packaging. And the other thing that's important to do is to stagger the rings when you fit them on the piston. Staggering the rings is important because if you line all the grooves up, then you're going to lose compression through the lined up grooves. So you stagger them so it's a bit more combustion tight. The other thing that I wanted to show is the gudgeon pin circlip. So the purpose of the circlip, it fits in the piston, but it stops the gudgeon pin sliding out of the piston. Now there's a correct and a wrong way of fitting a circlip, and I thought I'd show you because it's amazing the amount of people that don't know this and fit them wrong. And I don't mean people that do it for a hobby, I mean professional people as well. So I thought I would show what I'm talking about. Let me just grab the circlip pliers. So on the circlip, at the top where these ears are, so that the circlip pliers fit into these thing called ears, and that's for compressing or expanding a circlip. But on this very top corner here, one side has got a sharp edge and the other side has got a rounded edge. And it's very important that the rounded edge fits against the gudgeon pin. So in the piston, the two circlips would fit like that. So both rounded edges would point inwards. Now the reason that is because if there's a burr on the sharp edge, which there normally is, and you have it fitted against the gudgeon pin, what could happen is as the gudgeon pin is rotating and the engine's running, only very slightly, it can snag and sometimes pull the circlip out. So it's very important to note when you're building the engine what part is the rounded part of the circlip. Then it's a case of just putting them into the circlip pliers, and then just really carefully you put it in on a slight angle and then just push it in till it clicks into the groove of the piston, and then push the gudgeon pin through to the other side. And then what that clicking noise was the circlip just clicking into its recess in the piston. And then once again, look for the rounded part of the circlip. And then just click that into the piston too. And then you always know when a circlip's fitted correctly, because with very little pressure it will rotate really nicely in the piston groove. So that's one piston and conrod built up. All the threads have been cleaned on this. The bearing face has been cleaned. The rod's been cleaned. I've checked the bush for play, the small end bush, and the right clearance. It's all built up with build lube on the pin and inside the conrod. So the next thing for me to do is to just build up the other 6, and then I'll wash my hands before they go into the internal of the engine and just give them one last wipe over. So that's the TR6 bottom end, crank pistons and rods in. Everything's marked, so I know that I've torqued it up. I've got to fit the rear seal now, and the little bridge that fits on here for the sump gasket to seal on.
And if you go to his YouTube channel,
that horrible man there with his rally car, available on another YouTube channel, has done this to my beautiful engine. Mark was going to rotate it to show you. Let me just lower this first as well. The engine had a slight tight spot on it as we was just putting it together. So we've took it out, put it in the balancer so we could see how much run out it's got. And it's got about 23 thou of bend in it. So if you've got a rally car and you roll it, switch it off in mid-air. Animal. So another job that's come in today, well, come in last week actually, but I'm going to do it today, is this inlet manifold and fuel rail for a customer. This is a billet fuel rail that he's bought, and when you fit it, the injector, if I could show you on this, the injectors don't sit in line. They're kind of off to one side like that. So all I'm going to do with this is mount the fuel rail on the mill, get a 6.5mm cutter, and then just elongate, slot this hole slightly so we can move it along, get it in the centre, and then that should do the job. So I'll get that mounted on the mill and just show that being done. So I've mounted this fuel rail in the mill. I've put a 6.5mm mill end in there. It's all bolted down nice and tight, so now I'm just going to elongate these holes. I'll even time lapse it for you because I'm a nice guy. So there we are, that's the fuel rail all slotted now, but what I've also done before, the bolts sat a bit proud. They stuck up because they didn't bolt down, so I've slotted it, but I've also elongated the hole, or made the hole bigger to take the cap screw now, so once it tightens up in line, which is about there, the cap screw will be flat with the fuel rail, so it'll just look a bit neater. So that job's all done. I can parcel that up and send it back to my customer now. So fixing this Brembo brake caliper. I've recessed this hole here because I'm going to make a solid alley insert to go in here, and I want it to collapse onto something. I've quickly just tapped this hole out, so now I'm going on the lathe to make the alley insert. So this is the insert that I'm making for it. I've now turned this down to the size of the step just here. So I'm going to machine this part away now, put a thread on it, put a thread up the inside of it, neaten it all off, cut it off, trim the other end in, and that should all be good. So that's the insert made on the lathe. I've just got to chop it off now, tap the caliper out, and then fit that in with some Loctite. Check that it all bolts up, and that'll be good to go. So I'll cut that off right now. So I've counterbored the caliper out, and now I'm just running a tap through to take the new insert that I've made for it. It's important to just keep going back a little bit with the tap because it just cleans out the tap. There we are. I'll show you the insert that I've made. So that's it all off the lathe, slightly offset to repair the offset damage. So that's all ready now to lock the insert in. So I'm going to quickly deburr it, Loctite it, and screw it down. Well, I thought I'd show you this. I had a bit of a miss it with that. I've made that, and then I think I made this thread here a little bit too big, so it wouldn't screw in. Then it jammed up, so I've had to take it back out, ready to make a new one. So I thought I'd show you because I did say I was going to show the good and the bad, and that's one of the bad ones. So that's the second one made and now installed. So I've just got to neaten up my edges on it, blow it all through, and that's ready to give back to the customer. So that's it, that's the insert all in. So that thread's nice and repaired now. That's been done out to M12 by 1.75. I've cleaned out the original thread as well, but that wasn't damaged, it was just a bit dirty. So that's it, that's all ready for my customer. I'm going to put it in a box, and I think Sam's going to drop it off for me tomorrow. So I'm in the engine build room today. I'm going to do a workshop update vlog separately. I have been filming bits of the workshop, but I could probably do with having a bit of a steadier walk around and showing you how great the lads have done on my workshop so far. So I've got the old Super Sir running to put a bit of heat in here. It's absolutely freezing cold today. Zach's just been over and he's kindly printed me some of the pickup truck calendar, copy of that, so I can post them around here, there and everywhere so I don't forget. And also normally we get a copy of the pickup truck rules emailed over, and I always print them off, but I'll show you what I do. I print them through my printer, and I get some doggy old bits of paper like that, all printed bit by bit. I showed it to Zach, and Zach said send me the email over, which I did do, and then he's really kindly printed me a few copies of a proper little booklet, because he's got all the proper gear, and yeah, he's made a flipping awesome job of it. The quality of the paper is really good, so thanks to Zach at Quad Graphics for that. He's the guy that also printed me my posters to take racing. Right, I'm going to keep this door closed Try and get some meat in here. Also, Jan with the Subaru engine, he popped over and bought me over a crate of Fosters, so the boys can share them, because I don't really drink, so the boys can drink their way through them for all the work that they've done on the unit and everything. So Jamies S14 M3 engine, which we've done loads of work to. I've done a few videos on it. Last week, it's Monday today, last week I spent, it was 2 days setting the tappets on it. Absolute nightmare to get the tappets right, but they're done now. So the next job is the cam timing. I'm going to put a protractor on the front. I've got my DTI showing TDC on cylinders 1 and 4, and then I've got 2 DTIs on this special adapter plate for measuring lift at TDC. So I'm going to go and get the pulleys. I'm going to go and get the timing chain tensioner, build all this up, and then hopefully I'll be able to get the cam timing right without having to do much to the pulleys. If not, then I'm going to have to elongate the bolt holes on the pulleys so we can twist the cam timing each way. So as I'm doing that, I'll video it. So on the BMW engine, one of the problems that I have is to make it adjustable cam timing, I need to be able to move the cam through this sprocket. But because these are just over 6mm holes, and in the cam here they're 6mm, they're 6mm bolts that bolt the pulley to the cam. If you can just grab one, I'll show you. So that's an M6, and that's what screws into there. So to make the cam timing adjustable, what I've got to do is machine these so they're slotted, and this is a hardened material, so they're a bit of a swine to machine, but I've got one of them. I've got the inlet mounted into the mill at the moment, so I'll show you how I'm doing that. So this is the camshaft sprocket mounted in the mill. I've got a quarter size mill bit in there, and I'm going to give it 4 degrees each way for adjustment. I'm hoping that's enough, so I'm going to do one first and just see what that's like, and then I'll do the second one afterwards. So I thought I'd give you a quick demo of what slotting the crankshaft sprocket has done. If I quickly just put the standard one onto the engine and tighten that up, I'll put a bolt in it. So with one bolt in there, there's very little movement. And then if I fit the slotted one, we've now got all that movement. So I'm hoping it's about a tooth, and then I'll be able to get the cam timing on both the inlet and exhaust cams exactly where I want it. So the first one's a good job. So what I'm doing now is setting the camshaft timing on the S14 engine. So it's 8:15, Tuesday night. I just wanted to get the cam timing done on Jamies' engine before I go home. So I've done the exhaust this morning. The exhaust timing, I'm just trying to get all the gauges in. But I just had the inlet to finish. So I thought I would quickly just go through what I do. I'll show you the two ways that I'm checking the timing on this. So I'm using a method called lift at TDC, which is done off this gauge here and TDC here, and then I'm also setting it up in degrees with this DTI here and the protractor, which is at the bottom of the engine here. Now, when I do it in degrees, I check it two different ways. So what you're looking for is the dwell, which is the point of where the valve is fully open and then starts to close. And there's a period of time which is called the dwell. Now, it's quite difficult trying to watch this needle here stop and then start to fall again. So I can pick any point on this top gauge here, and then I take a reading of the Kent Cam's degree wheel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 20 on there as my marker, which is there. And then I'm going to take a reading off the degree wheel and make a note of it. And then I'm going to carry on turning the engine clockwise until I'm back at 20, which is there. So that's the valve in motion, basically. And I'll take another reading. So what I need to know is from the two readings, the centre of it. So the second reading was 112, the first reading was 92. So there's 20 degrees. Then I divide that by 2, so 10 degrees, and then add that to the first number, which was 92. So I've got full lift on my number 1 cylinder inlet valve at 102 degrees, which is exactly what the cam manufacturer recommends. So I know the inlet timing's bang on, but what I'll also do is I'll also take a measurement from, let me show you, I'll also take a measurement from this back DTI when I'm on TDC. So I'm finished with this. I'm finished with this DTI now.
It's 9 o'clock at all the Mouse and Guns, isn't it?
So I can
me, you, your dad, Jerry, John.
get rid of that. Then I'll carry on turning the engine over until I'm at TDC. I'll use this gauge here.
Nice.
Oh. To read TDC.
What's his brake discs? Off the transit.
So it's just coming up to TDC now. I'm 50 degrees before TDC. So what I'm watching for is this has been set to 0, this gauge here, and this gauge is picking up my TDC. So I'm going to keep on turning the engine. I'm now 20 degrees away from TDC. And now I'm just coming up to TDC. That there is TDC on my Kent Cams degree wheel on the crankshaft. It's TDC on this dial gauge here, and it's reading how many millimeters of lift at TDC my my inlet valve's got. So now what I'll do is, in my build sheet for my customer, I'll make a note of both degrees and lift at TDC, and then that's that done. So now I can basically just carry on building the engine. I'll lock the sprockets off completely, bend the tabs round, rocker cover on, and get it finished so we can collect. Dry fitted this camshaft exhaust sensor bracket for the front of the engine, and it is just fouling the cylinder head here. I've dry fitted it with no seal on to make it easy to fit. So I'm just gonna carefully just trim this edge a little bit, and then that should make it fit flush against the engine. It doesn't seal on this face here, it seals here, so it wouldn't actually cause a problem, but I'd still rather it all bolt up nice and tight as it should. So I'm just going to quickly go and blip that out and then carry on. So as you can see there, I've just chamfered that edge, which should be more than enough to give it clearance. So I'm going to dry fit it again with no seal, just to double check. This, I've just now bolted this baffle into the top of the cam cover for the BMW. This has been restored. I didn't restore this, but he's had it crackle finish blacked and then had the BMW M Power logo cleaned up on it, so that's looking really nice. I'm going to quickly paint pen these and paint pen these to just so Jamie can see that it's all been tightened up in places. Paint pen the back, and then I'm bolting this on, and then it's just a case of dressing a few more little bits, which is good news. This is what's known as an S14 M3. It's all been ported, big valves. It's all ported. It's got Ferreira valves in it. The exhaust side's all ported, the slightly larger valves, all the plugs are in it. I've set the compression, I've set the timing. Like I said, once it's come off the engine stand, I'll put it on the bench until Jamie was hopefully going to fetch it this weekend, but he can't because I've just sent him a picture saying your engine's finished, but he's caught COVID, so I'm going to wait for Sam to get back and then I can lift it out, finish a few bits off. I just need to blank all the oil ways and the exhaust and the inlet ports. But that's one. It's been a pleasure to build this. It's one that I've actually wanted to build. Well, I want to build all the engines, but I was looking forward to building this because it's going to be in a classic DTM touring car, which Jamie's building at the moment, which is an absolute stunning bit of kit. So hopefully it will produce the power that he wants. I don't see why it won't. It's got all the right bits in it. It's got the right compression, the timing, cam timing's right, and everything else. I ran the head up on the flow bench, and the flow figures from that was quite impressive as well. They always look nice with the rocker covers on these. They are quite a pretty little engine. That's how it actually sits in the car, slanted like that as well. So where the sump's level at the moment, that's right. So the engine sits slanted. And then the throttle bodies bolt straight to that. I need to just stamp my grace code on it that I always put on, and also put that onto the job sheet for him. But I'm really happy with this engine. Like I said, it's one that I was really looking forward to building. Jamie's a really good mate of mine, and I've built a few of his race engines now when we've had to get a certain amount of power and whatnot, and he really gets the best out of them. He's a good driver as well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the car finished and racing. I will record some of it. I'll try and get to some of his test meetings and stuff, and I'll have a run over to show you the car in the new year, hopefully, if it's still there. I know it was going to get painted, but in fact it's coming here to get painted. It's going next door to Vauxhall Body Shop, so I'll get that recorded on video for a later date. It's Thursday today. Christmas Eve is tomorrow, so I'm not in. Well, I'm going to be in tomorrow, but only for a few hours. I'm going to help Tracy get the house ready because we've got all the kids and everything coming over for Christmas Day, which would be cool. So I'm going to help her do that. So that's the end of the vlog. Take care, everyone. I hope everyone has a wicked Christmas and a good New Year. I'm going to get the update of the unit done in between Christmas and New Year, so that'll be an extra video. But like I said, I hope every Merry Christmas. Don't drink too much, try not to eat too much, and I'll catch you in the new year. Take care, bye bye.